What is going on, guys, and welcome back to a new video on F1 24, and this is the first track guide actually on this game. I hope you're all doing well. We are here with a Silverstone world record setup guide, track guide, so you absolutely nail the Silverstone track in your career mode, league races and whatsoever. I'm going to share you my setup today. I'm going to do a track walk, my world record lap, and I will show you the setup. So let's get into it. Obviously, with the track walk, we're currently in the Red Bull. That has no meaning at all. It's just what I decided to pick because I did a driving car comparison. I don't know if you've seen it already. Maybe we are uploading this afterwards or before, but we did the world record with this setup on the German car comparison. Okay, so the Red Bull is the fastest, spoiler, in realistic car performance, but the equal car is the Red Bull. So this is pretty much equal car. It is equal car, doesn't matter. Anyways, we are heading into the lap. Third gear. You want to open up the line here as much as possible, but the most important is getting no wheel spin. Perfect run down here, and now on this straight already, one thing I want to talk about is stay away from the outside line here. You want to position your car here because there are bumps that will cost you lap time. The bumps in this year's game on the new surface, especially, you can see it on the white line. It's like a little wave. Costs you so much time. These things cost you time. High sausage curbs don't. Make it make sense, but it is what it is. So we're heading over here after this line. 7th gear, hold it. Then get close to this. There's another bump on the inside. If you hit the perfect frame, you won't hit it and you will be super fast and gain like half a 10 down this whole straight. Then stay on this curb. Brake down into 3rd gear. When you're on the curb, you get as far to the left as possible without braking on the grass. You can see we're still not making contact with the grass. And then you're turning in, even touching a little bit the inside curb. You can use a little bit of full lock. Not full lock, but a lot of lock on the steering wheel. With the new handling. Then rotate the car aggressively on the throttle here. Another bit of full lock without too much braking. Actually no braking if you can hit it. And 3rd gear again on the exit. Really important to just focus on getting the power down as early as possible without any wheel spin. Now on this straight again, we have the bumps on the right. You want to stay roughly here on that black line until the end of sector 1. Then you go over to the black and white 50-meter board, send it over in 4th gear. You can use a little bit more lock again. If you want to be the fastest, you actually have to touch the sausage curbs, but it's actually very tricky. It can unsettle the car, especially with the setup. You will see it later, but at least try and hit the black and white curb. Otherwise, you will probably go to wide and lose a lot of lap time. Now rotate the car on throttle, 4th gear, aggressively, nearly full throttle, even full throttle a little bit. Then onto that curb here. Try and use the full lock thing again to stay tight, whilst getting the rotation in with the car without losing the rear. Aggressive on the power. You need to be really early, full throttle. Don't go over that curb, just touch it or stay away from it fully. Also here, touch it, but don't go over it fully. Now here, you can drive normally. You can either stay on the tarmac or go onto the curb. Important is to get a fairly early aggressive turn in to position your car. At least here, you can even go onto the grass a little bit. It doesn't hurt too much, but if you go on the wrong frame, again, there's a bump on the curb which will push you to the left and lose you half a 10th to 10th down this whole bit into the S section. And you don't want that at any circumstance. You don't want to go completely to the right. There's also a lap time loss again with the bumps. Then you need to be, by the way, all the way from Luffield until I tell you, stay in 7th gear. Here, cops everywhere, 7th gear. Wellington straight also, 7th gear, not 8th gear. You need to ride that sausage curb, otherwise you're losing time. Then you flick it over to the right here, over the sausage curb again. Important to cut as much as you can without getting in off track. Then still 7th gear, still 7th gear, still 7th gear. Avoid the sausage curbs here, but get close. Now lift a little, not fully, 6th gear. And then use the curb again to rotate the car, not the sausage curb, and not too much curb. And here as well, then power down with full throttle, sausage curb, not on the sausage curb. Touch the black and white curb and get over as quickly as you can to the right, but not fully to the right. Stay roughly here, because you can see again the lines. You're losing lap time here. You can see the suspension working, and you don't have that when you're roughly like here in the middle. It's not as much. You have to use 8th gear on this straight, then you flick over to the left here. A little lift, like to 70%, then 7th gear, 6th gear. If you can, use the curb without spinning. Use the curb, it helps you rotate the car. Aggressive on the throttle. And you should be as much full throttle throughout this whole corner as you can. Don't go over this curb because of the bumps. You can touch it or completely stay away from it. Best thing would be touch it, because then you don't turn too much. And then for the final corner, if you want to increase the brake bias to 54, 55 max. I don't increase it at all. 51 for the whole lap. Same with the differential. Brake at the curb. Fairly hard, but be careful with locking the rears or the fronts. down to third gear, get close to the sausage curb as much as you can without going onto the grass, but without also touching the sausage curb. Then you rotate the car on the throttle. Oh my god, steering wheel. Rotate it again with the throttle. Get close to the sausage curb. Push as early as you can. Also again on this curb, but not over it. Now, I don't know if it's faster to go over this curb, avoid it because there's a bump, or go a bit off the apex and avoid the bump. Just push to the limit here, and this is how you nail the lap at Silverstone. Now we are going into the fast world record lap, and after that we will have a look at the setup. Komm schon. Ich will einen Weltrekord. Boah. Also den Exit habe ich krass verkackt. World record! Bam! So now into the setup, we have 22 12 wings. I know I've been saying you can run pretty much even wings, and I think you can, but I could not get a better balance yet than this. It's quite loose. I would like the gap to be closer, but if I reduce the front, the aero wash is too much. Like the aero is just not working as effectively. And if I increase this, I don't get the increase in top speed that I'm seeking, okay? So 22.12 is pretty good. The time for a setup at the moment is 38.15, so this is still a good gap. It's just a 10 wing gap. If you're still struggling, I would prefer for you to reduce the front wing to 20, and then if you need to increase the rear wing as well by 2 clicks, so you have a 6 wing gap, and then it should already be much nicer to drive. But anyways, this is a very good base. Then for the transmission, we are still using 90, 70, 100, like the baseline meta setup that I showed you in the Bahrain video. You can change this stuff, but I was thinking again, leave this. I didn't test all that. This was literally a few hours of driving on Silverstone whilst comparing the cars. In the English guide I saw, the setup that I built was shit because I used 18 wings. It didn't work. The right head wasn't working. It's just a few tweaks, but it's not crazy different. With the suspension geometry, this time we opted for everything to the left. Usually we run toe, the front toe and rear toe on the middle. This time we did not. Then with the suspension bit, we have 41.1, 21.21, 22.52. And I think you can even run the rear right height lower. You can run the front right height higher. That I feel like if you increase the front right height, the aero will not work as good anymore, but you will probably have less issue with bumps. And that will also, like, especially in cops, if you go to like 24 front right height, you will not feel that inside bump at all. And also the turn 1 bump barely ever. So it helps to increase it, but at the same time, you're then losing again performance from the car in the low speed sections like turn 3, turn 4, or the chicane at the end. And even I feel like in high speed, like the S section, because car is just working at its absolute peak with this right height at the moment. With the rear right height, you can go lower, but I felt also like 52 was optimal. I could run 47 or 46 without having any big drop of top speed, so it does work, but I didn't see the benefit. It wasn't feeling much better, and I didn't gain any crazy time in the low speed sections, which would be what I would be expecting. So I just kept it like this. On the car comparison video, I was using 20.55 with 18 wings, and I could only do a 25.0 with the Red Bull. So you can see this is half a second gain just by these few clicks. It makes a big difference. So we got the rotation from the aerodynamics and an optimum right height. So So this is all we need. Also suspension geometry, a little bit of a change there. Brake pressure still on 100 and brake bias is on 51. Obviously this changes because of the overall balance of the car, but you can 51 or whatever you want to run. It's all down to preference. If you need it a bit higher because you're locking the rears too much, you go to 52, 53. Especially in the final corner, you need to increase it a bit if you're struggling there. If you feel like you're locking the fronts, go lower. Go for it. And then with the pressures, I'm running max because it gains you so much lap time this year. It gains you so much top speed, and overall I feel like it also adds a little bit of grip, which is weird. Like if you run too low, your lap times will be super slow and the grip will be bad. If you run higher, you feel like suddenly the car is alive and it turns and it is doing what you want. Also, low tire pressure contributes to higher tire temperatures according to the info, which is weird. I mean, it's not, but that means if we do this, we have less tire weight. We probably have higher tire. We should have higher tire temps, but no, we don't. We have apparently lower tire temps. That sounds good to me. Then we can push without overheating too much. No, it's good. But this is the setup. Try it out. Let me know what you think. I think this is pretty amazing. Our lap time was a 24.50 something, so it's like nearly 10 faster than Thomas, and it was not a perfect lap. It was doing with the realistic Red Bull, not with the equal car, but the equal car is the same pace as the realistic Red Bull. It's base of this, so it doesn't matter. I really feel like setup is great because these guys are all driving with 60 FPS. That 60 FPS probably gains you around 1.5 to 2 tenths minimum, if not even more. Like you could probably with this setup, if you nail it, hit a 0.2 or maybe even a high 0.1. But this is already like much faster than the current time trial setup, and it feels again more balanced. So the setup meta is working. Change the right tire, change the wings. You're good to go. You're really good to go. But yeah, anyways, if you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell, and also check out my other channels, especially Instagram. Leave a follow there. Leave a comment if you enjoyed it and if you want to see other tracks. And I will see you in the next one. Have a lovely day. You're Marcel. Peace.